Okay. It is 8:30 and Sunday night, so it's time for our team call to start and resume. First and foremost, we'd like to thank all that are either watching this via YouTube or are able to tune in and to interact with us on the call this evening. Last week, our topic was the 6 common mistakes that individuals make when they first get started in this business, which I know sometimes can be a bit much, and it wasn't meant to be negative at all.
Right.
We actually want to give you this week some of the things that's a little bit on the more positive side on how you can actually go about sharing the oils to make it a little bit easier on you. So first and foremost, I want to say congratulate yourself for deciding to start a young living business. If that's what you have decided to do, whether you want to get your oils paid for every month or whether you want to supplement an income or replace an income, whatever your reason why, congratulate yourself on starting a young living business. I think that's probably one of the best things that you can do, knowing how the world operates now and knowing that there's not much stability in the world. So that's the first and foremost thing. But tonight's topic, we're going to talk about we're not selling oils. And I think that's an interesting topic because I don't have any sales background. And you have any sales background? No. And sometimes people, that's the assumption. Like you have to be good at sales to be good in the business. And that's not necessarily the case. Matter of fact, I think salespeople probably have a little trouble coming over to a business like this because it's not really about being able to convince someone to buy something they don't need or selling them on oils. It's really about relationships, which is something I guess that we can't stress enough. So the information that we're going to be going over this evening is taken out of the book, The Game Plan, which we recommended last week. This has been a phenomenal book that we've been reading that's really helped us to kind of adjust some things in our business. But we actually love it. Like we love this book by Sarah Harnish called The Game Plan. It's going to walk you from A to Z.
Definitely get the game plan if you have not gotten it. It would have saved us like 2 years.
And get to convention, that's the other thing.
Right.
So we're not selling oils. And the thing that I want to convey the most is, like we said, neither one of us comes from a sales background. And like I said, it was really all about relationships. But the thing that's interesting and why we shouldn't get into a salesy mode is because you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
When somebody's trying to sell you something, and I've been to different home parties before where I felt like I've been was being sold, and you feel that pressure. So think about how an individual feels when you know you have these amazing oils that have been helping you and your family get a better night's sleep, to deal with your seasonal discomforts or whatever other ailments you're having. Think about how great they are, and you want to share them, but you never want to force them onto an individual. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, just to kind of add to that, I always approach people the way I want to be approached. Like, even if I'm sitting out, like, or if I'm calling somebody to invite them, like, especially if it's your family or friends, like, if you're calling and you're, like, reading something or you sound weird, it's going to be like, what do you, like, that's not how you talk to me. Like, right. You want to talk to them just like you would any other thing. So approach them the way you think you want to be approached with stuff. Like, so when we are completely organic and natural with our delivery, then it doesn't send up this like salesy red flag, and it doesn't send up, oh, they just want something from me. They actually can tell that this is something that's really a part of their life that they're sharing.
And so here's one of the ways to do it, because it's really more so, even with the classes, it's really more so about education. Not just educating them on products, on oils and supplements, but it's chemical-free living. It's healthy living, which sometimes we think we know about, but the reality is, even myself, who I thought was a healthy person at one point, I still use bleach all the time. I used chemicals to clean everything. which the chemicals that we use have like a huge effect on your body. So I thought this was interesting because one of the suggestions was this. Sarah says to issue the 3 cabinet challenge. And what is that? She says in her classes or even in dealing with people day to day, she tells them to go home, flip over the products in every cabinet of their home, to Google the ingredients. If they don't know what it is, they shouldn't be slathering it on their body or cleaning with it. Then I encourage them to switch to chemical-free essential oils. So think about that for a second. That's actually pretty interesting because I think we live in a time now where people are starting to flip over uh, packages and products and look at the back of what's in it. I think about how many people now look for gluten in their products or high fructose corn syrup. So people are becoming more aware of that. So that suggestion alone will get a person to thinking like, oh, okay, I did not know I was putting this many chemicals into my household. Do you remember the number that it says like the average person uses in chemicals between like their shampoo and?
It's 300 in a day, and I believe the average one was 8 before breakfast.
Yeah. Just think about the simple fact that the addiction to information that you have is going to help an individual get on a path of chemical free. So every oil that you put in that household, every oil that you educate that person about is one chemical that they're not using. And I think that's the biggest thing. When you think about the fact that we're not selling oils, we're educating people that there's a better way to not have these chemicals in your household, around your children, around your pets, that you're taking into your body every single day. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, remember that. Every oil that's in the household, every young living product, like Thieves Cleaner, is replacing a chemical in the household. Did you have anything to share on that? No. Okay. So that's the biggest thing. And then also, we was talking about, so you're just creating an awareness so they start to take that step on their own and meet them where they're at. That was the other point that she made. So you might have a person that eats a gluten-free diet and is an extreme health nut and wants to learn more about all the oils and get every single thing that you talk about. And that's great. But you also might have, if they're a millennial like our generation, like most of us don't cook, with the exception of a few, and they eat fast food 5-7 times a day. So if they're that type of person, you would want to say, hey, you should stop eating fast food because it's bad for you. Try this oil instead. No, meet them where they're at. If they have no desire to improve their health and their wellness, I would not spend my time trying to convince them to get an oil or to get a product or come to the class. But if they've shown interest, then that's a gateway. Why would you not share that information? When Dana was talking about sharing something naturally and organically, here's one way that you could do it. Because I think when we start a conversation, we think sometimes out of habit. So I know I get asked, how's it going? Or what's with you? And the typical response is, oh, not much, same old, same old. But if you're doing, this is a business, this is new and exciting. If you just start bringing oils into your home, that's new and exciting. So that's a great opportunity to be like, hey, yeah, me and my family just started using essential oils. And most people are not aware of what that is. So their next question is probably going to be, oh, tell me more about that, or what are essential oils? And so then you have 30 seconds to share your little tidbit or your little story on how essential oils or the products have been helping you and your family. And then you kind of gauge their interest. If they seem like they want to know more information, invite them to a class, give them a resource DVD or an audio CD, something to get them more interested. But if they're like, hey, that's cool, and they want to move on, then you move on.
I know too, this weekend, oh my goodness, the Shannon Hudson event is amazing. If you never go to any events, Young Living, Shannon Hudson's events are amazing. But one thing that she kind of uses as reference, she's like, so anytime I meet somebody and we get to talking, she has a 3-question rule. So if they ask her 3 questions, she's like, they're sitting down with me and they're getting a kick. Like, that's it. So, you know, and she's like, the third question doesn't even have to have anything to do with oils. But if I hand them a flyer like, hey, here's my next class, I'd love for you to join. And then they're like, oh, well, where is the class? Well, all the information is on there. And then she turns, you know, to leave. And if they're like, what is the class about? And she goes, and she'll say like the title of the class or whatnot. And then she goes to turn to leave. But if they ask a third question, she's like, I don't care if they ask me where the bathroom is. It doesn't matter what the third question is. We're going to sit down and you're going to get a kit. She's like, I've never sat down with somebody that did not get a kit. So we can have our own kind of rule of thumb too to gauge things. She's like, but when you do it like that and always have a sense of urgency, you know, and not linger, we don't overtalk ourselves. Because sometimes what we'll do is we'll have that conversation, we're asking questions, and we give them all the information they need there, and then they now feel like, oh, I think I know everything, I don't need to come to class, right? So again, you can have little triggers for how we can organically share with people, even when it's people that we're just meeting and kind of sharing. And a lot of times, inviting people to a class, especially if you don't know them, is an easier way to kind of invite them versus being like, hey, this is an oil, I don't know you, can you take the, you know, or whatnot. So at least it invites them to a wellness event or class that's taking place.
And then your resources too. Because I know I'm kind of stingy with my oils. I probably should be a little bit more sharing with them. But I know every month we work hard to get our oils, and I have certain oils I love and I covet them. I don't always like giving things out for free, especially if a person is just going to take that free sample and that's going to be it. So like they said, share it naturally and organically in your way of conversation. I mean, there's tons of conversations that you have with individuals every day, and if there's an opportunity to share, great, share. If it doesn't lend itself, move on, because there's always going to be somebody else actually looking for something.
Right, and just don't be weird. When you act weird, they said something's wrong. Like, don't start talking like somebody else just because they're like, oh, that worked for that person. Talk like you. Be natural. You know, conversational. And leave them something to always learn and something always to look up and to research.
Yeah. So that's all I had. I mean, that's the biggest thing. We're not selling oils. You're just educating individuals. We have about another few minutes left. I see Larissa is online. Any questions or any topics that you wanted us to address while we're on?
No, not at this time.
Okay, that's fine too. I think next, because I actually love this book. It's funny, I was talking to Dan. I said, I think I want to change what we're going to talk about tonight. And it's because I got to the section of follow-up, which is actually just as important.
Well, question is a follow-up.
Yeah. I'm not going to share that tonight. I'm not going to share that tonight because I just started reading that section, but there are actually some pretty interesting things in there. Some of the other things I was reading about was how to have like the structure of a class, how to have a successful class, and how to fill a class, how to make people look for your classes. So I think we'll address that probably with next week's call. And then maybe the call after that, we'll talk about follow-up, because that's really where, I guess, the friction is in the follow-up. And there's a way to do it without being weird and without making a person feel pressure to get hit. I'm telling you now, if at any point that you're talking to somebody, if they feel pressured, they might get from you, but that's going to be it. And it's going to sit on the shelf. They're not going to want to deal with you, and it could damage the relationship. So remember, we're trying to share in a way that's natural and organic. Young living is about wellness. What is it? Wellness, prosperity, and abundance. I know it was. But we want to cultivate relationships and to enjoy the relationships that they have. So, you guys,
yeah. So the last thing I wanted to just talk about too is so this is a challenge for everybody. I want you to try to do this week. But I see 10 people. It could be 10 people that maybe have shown some interest in the oils, or people that are on your 100 name list, and you want to reach out to them, maybe get them to a class, or just kind of touch bases with them. So Sarah has a 101 audio that you can actually send the link to people. So in the comments, when we repost this, we will have the link to that. And what I want you to do is find those 10 people that you're gonna get with this week, and you're going to start a conversation with them over the phone, text, messenger, whatever you want to start communicating with them. And you're going to simply just ask them the question: if I sent you a link on toxic-free living and wellness, would you listen to it? Depending on the response, if they're like, well, sure, I'll listen to it, then your next question is going to be, when do you think you can listen to it for sure? That way, they're obligating themselves to a time, a day. So before, when they said, sure, I'll listen to it, that was Sunday. But now that they put a date on it, they're going to have to narrow themselves down to kind of commit to it. So let's say you do it tomorrow, and they say, well, I can listen to it on Tuesday. So then your next response is going to be, so if I call you on Wednesday, you will have listened to it for sure then. Of course, I would be listening to it. So that way it sets you up for that follow-up, and then you can go back and say, what did you like best about what you heard? And see where it goes from there. The next thing is up for them to get chemicals out of their home, start with the kit, and really get their mind thinking about detoxing their entire home. So we're going to have the link at the bottom, and I want you guys to actually comment too when you have started trying to do this process, and see what type of success you have. Because the power in our words. Sometimes if we just change how we say things, and people can really see the seriousness of it. It's not just, oh, they're trying to get something out of me. But especially at one-on-one, we see how it's not about something. She said that in one-on-one. She's like, it is about saving people's lives. I know me personally, my family has been affected tremendously when it comes to illnesses that are preventable. The reality is they are preventable, and there's a lot of toxins and environmental things that we can do to help our families. So I would everybody to go ahead and try that challenge, and please comment and see how that works for you this week. 10 people, so you're gonna at least talk to 10 people. Also keep in mind, this Thursday evening we're doing the gotta kick out what Facebook class. So that is an excellent one, especially if you have people in your friends list that are out of town, or people that you haven't been able to connect with. Plug them into that. It's sometimes easier to get them online than it is to actually pencil with this class. Also, remember we still have the day after Friday evening at 6:30 p.m. at SPA. We will be doing another intro to oils class. So invite your guests. The more they hear these things, the more beneficial it's going to be. And also Sunday, we are doing our house. So come over, and we just want to have a time, especially since those people are going to have along in that weekend.
Don't work for me on that.
Okay. That's all, everybody. Thank you so much. We will put the replay on, and we will check back in with you every week.
All right. Look forward to next week's call.
Bye.
Yes,